Welcome back to another edition of the Gamut Report with your host, Matt Hribar. Maybe you like the show, but you don't like me. It's understandable. So today I'm here. I got two awesome, I called you guys, I think, pop princesses, but in a localized way. So I'm here with Ali and Celine.
What's
Hello,
up, guys?
ladies.
Hi.
So we're here to talk about, it's a pop emergency. Like, we talked about this. It's 24/7, 411-911-365.
Yep.
Pop is just everywhere. And pop culture is pop music. It is, what is pop culture, girls? Just like throw things out there. Let's just brainstorm. What is pop? What's pop culture? Just everything.
It's everything.
It
pop
can be
music,
your mom.
Pop icons. Like
Chewbacca mom. It could be Octagon mom with her 8 children. It could be, remember the 8 Octomom?
Yeah, Octomom.
It could be Octomom,
Yeah.
you know? Pop culture is anything.
8+8.
It's everything.
Yeah.
2 plus 2, and then you found out one more information,
Queens.
so it became 5.
Right.
But anyway, so we're here to talk about, I guess, the status of pop culture,
Right.
especially these days where everything is a meme, it is a GIF, it is a tweet, it is just, everything's accessible. I said GIF. Is it GIF?
I say GIF.
Yeah,
GIF?
I think it's
is
on
it
the
GIF.
It's a debate.
Oh. Next episode.
Yeah, next time GIF versus GIF. Stay tuned.
The Gamut Report, trying to clarify for everyone at home. But, so I guess we could talk about it on a broad scale. Who's really impressed you of late? Like, who are you staining for? And if you don't know what staining, it is kind of like super fanning. Like, it's just like you're really into them. So who are you staining for right now?
My all-time pop queen has always been Britney Spears.
Okay.
I will stand by her. I will defend her.
You will be there with an umbrella and you will beat them down.
Yes, I will be there shaving my head, bashing the paparazzi's car.
You know what's so funny? They're doing a biopic on her, and there were footage of them filming that scene for the biopic, and it was so dramatic. I was like, I don't remember it being like as vicious as the reenactment was. Was it that vicious? I thought it was just like she was like, and then she was in the car.
It was a little I mean, there was some emotion behind it, but yeah, I mean, she was going through some things.
She was.
She was going through some things. But yeah, no, Glory. Can we talk about it? Can we talk about Glory?
I mean, I'm hashtag unpopular opinion, and you know what I'm about to say,
No,
and you're ready to lean
prepared.
across and just grab me by the throat and just shout in my face. Britney Jean was better than Glory.
And I don't understand.
I feel like Glory was chock full of bops. I mean, like, we listened to it yesterday again, and I was kind of like...
Allie makes you. You're, like, held captive.
No, I own it. I put it in. I'm like, listen, we're listening to the whole thing.
You're one of, the 20 copies that sold that week.
Oh.
It did not sell well. It didn't.
For sure did better than Britney Jean.
Did it? I want to hear these numbers right now. You just tell me about Glory. I'm going to look up the numbers. I'm
sorry, but I just feel
Wiki.
like...
I feel like she was feeling herself on this album, and that translated.
She was feeling herself.
Yes, and there's not a song on this album that you'd be like, oh, I don't want to listen to this. I feel like every song is a different vibe. There's so many, like, club hits, so many dance hits. I just feel like it's so good.
You know, I only did listen to it once. So,
see,
you know,
it's not fair.
I should give it a second chance. You know?
I feel like it grew on me. Like, so I feel like it would, if you give it a second chance, you'd probably be surprised.
So Glory has a 71 out of 100 on Metacritic, which to me is like, it's like the holy beacon is when they collect all the critics, whatever that is. They collect it all together and they give them like an average. So an average of 71 is pretty good, actually. And in terms of commercial performance, it was debuted number 3, selling 111K units in its first week. But Britney Jean, I think Britney Jean might have sold 10K more. Let me check. I feel like I'm like doing some research. I feel like, what's that one? Is it, what Kardashian was it with the glasses? And she's like looking over. You guys would know this more than I would. But she's like, oh, okay,
Chris?
so critical. Yeah, I think it was Chris. So Britney Jean it got a 50 out of 100 on the Metacritic.
Which is much less.
Which is much. Oh, it is. It is. And it sold. Oh, it debated number 4 with 107 units. So critic-wise and sales-wise, Glory did beat it out. But and I get what you mean when you're like, we want dancing Britney, we want sexy Britney, we want Britney to own it.
I want the choreo.
I like Britney when she's like able to turn her club side to like a little bit of moody. I like. I feel like on Britney Jean, like Britney was more relatable to me, and I want to be more relatable with Britney because Britney, I feel like, is like a little distant sometimes.
Okay.
I think that's kind of her career has always been like, she's like been like the Pope reaching out from the Pope mobile, and just her hand, she's just touching us with her hand, and it's like I want Britney in my face with like a lap dance and a sob story like at the same time. Like that's
okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
okay.
And to me, Britney Jean was that mix of like where it was like we get to see her, you know, talk a bit more personally while, you know, there was some bops. You know, like you can't argue me and say that Till It's Gone.
Okay.
Like Till It's Gone was
yeah,
like
and like obviously Work was a great single. Perfume was a good single. That was
Perfume
a nice
had a great video. I thought it was very artistic for her, and I appreciate that. But what was different, and you'll note this, is Glory, she went very public and publicity heavy for Glory.
Yeah,
whereas
she
Britney
did not do
Jean,
that
she was like, here's the album, suck it.
Yeah.
And to me, I wonder if part of the good reviews and the extra 3K of sold copies comes from that publicity. Because I feel like when artists don't like go to the press, they don't kind of, then they get like bad reviews. I feel like then the press shuns them. Well, you didn't talk to me. You didn't come to my station or like, I don't know.
I agree with you because I think we've seen that with Lady Gaga with Art Pop.
I love Art Pop.
So we both love Art Pop.
Yes.
And it got the most, I think people were just ready to like rip her a new one.
People were calling it Art Flop, and I was like, listen.
It still sold 2.5 million copies in the worldwide, which is pretty good.
I went to that concert. I went to that tour.
Did you go to the rave? Did it come in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was fantastic.
To me, I liked it. I feel like I feel bad for her as someone who, you know, that you have like this huge beginning to your career and you're just trying to have fun. And I feel like that's what she's doing now. Did you hear the Joanne, her new album, Lady Gaga's new album, Joanne, comes out like next week, the snippets for the album. Did you hear those?
We didn't hear all of them.
I heard the first two singles. Yeah,
that's it. That's all I've heard so far.
Oh my God. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm right now, and like you can quote me on this on 10/10/2016 at 10:44 p.m. Perfect Illusion, which I like. Perfect Illusion might be the worst song on the album. That's how good the other songs. And they were like 25 seconds of each song. Oh my God.
Well, you know what? Good, because so many people were saying like, I don't think I like the sound of Perfect Illusion. I don't think I like it. So if you think that one is the worst one, maybe it just shouldn't have been the single.
No, seriously, I think Perfect Illusion. I love Tame Impala who worked on it. I liked it. I thought it was good. People were like, it's too repetitive. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, there's some songs out there that like are way more repetitive.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, I love Cheap Thrills. Don't get me wrong, but to me, Cheap Thrills, when you talk about repetitivity, it's like going out on Saturday, Cheap Thrills, Cheap Thrills, Cheap Thrills, Cheap Thrills. And that's pop. Pop does rely on some aspect of that.
That's the whole deal.
But with Joanne, I think this is going to be her best album yet. I mean, there was like some catchy hooks. There's some country, which I like. More country than Taylor Swift's been in like the last 5 years, which is like, what? And I think it's going to be really good. I'm really looking forward. Million Reasons was a million reasons that I was crying. It was really good. I'm really excited.
I'm excited too. I think it's like this whole new, I think Celine described it as like genre bending kind of, like
absolutely
blurring the lines of like what type of music is this, because Lady Gaga is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
She's never the same
and
artist.
Britney is too.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Glory, Britney Jean, and Femme Fatale, which is her 2011, 2013, and now. They're three very different albums. Even Femme Fatale and Glory to me are two different kind of alluring. You know, like Glory's a lot more like in your face, like, you know, like, we're going to dance, you and me right now, grimy. And to me, Femme Fatale is more like a mysterious sexiness. Like, well, like, maybe you'll get this, maybe you won't. Whereas in Glory, I think she was a lot more commanding.
Yeah,
she was like,
I think so too.
Britney was a soldier on the front lines ready to choke you out.
And she was even saying too, like, I wanted it to be more adult. And I think she kind of achieved that with Glory, because even though some of her other songs, I actually find that comment interesting, because some of her other songs are kind of raunchy. Like, if you really listen to like even her older stuff, like Touch of My Hand and some things like Toxic even, like that's a raunchy song.
Piece of Me, Give Me More, If You Seek Amy. I mean, those songs were like...
Yeah, they were more...
If You See Amy, if you if you check out the real, like, behind that song, it's very messed
When the parents found out what that meant, they were like, you can't listen to this. And I was like, why? And they're like, no, you can't. All the parents were, like, outraged by this song being on the radio because, well, they changed it from If You Seek Amy to If You See, so it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it reminds me of the flop single of that time, sadly, Radar. And Radar was
that's an underrated
That's
bop.
a very underrated Britney bop. And same with, I'm trying to think of some other underrated Britney bops that I'm like closing my eyes a little bit and I'm like,
Criminal?
Criminal. That really, I was in love with The Criminal that summer. Like, I literally would say to people, I was like, I'm in love with The Criminal. They're like, what? Because that to me was iconic of a song, and the video was good too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Make Me video just real quick.
Okay.
What happened to the original video?
Oh.
You know there was an original video.
Yes, and they got
it got
rid of
scrapped, and I don't know why it got scrapped for that really bad music video.
Yeah, because I saw
Really
clips
bad.
of like the original video, and it looked way better.
It looked
than
hot.
what-
It looked fresh, and this,
Yeah.
it was just like, it looked like one of those like porn. Kind of like when they sit down, they're like, "What's your name?" And like that's what they were doing with the guys. They're like, "What do you want to do?" And they're like, "I want to be an actor." Like, it was
Yeah,
like
it
these
was
guys. It
very
was just
bad,
weird. I
yeah.
didn't like it. And
I was sad.
what's her next single off of Glory? Do we have a confirmation of what is the
Let's
next single?
See what I can find.
I know Wikipedia is a pop culture icon's best
Yes.
friend.
Yes, it really, really is.
You
They
find
know.
out the deets.
You can find out everything. Well, she had quite a few of them out as like singles. She released
promo singles,
the
yeah.
promo singles. Let's see what I can.
I'm trying to think what I want to be a single.
I think Hard to Forget You would be a good
That
single.
is my favorite song. That is my favorite song.
I really, you know what? After this, I'm gonna go home and listen because I
You
feel
really
like I
have
need a
to.
re-listening.
Yeah.
I think I might appreciate it more.
I don't know what I'm trying to see what the next single is. Hard to Forget You is so good. That was one where I was like, whoa, whoa. Let me play that back one more time. And then as soon as we came back to school, I was like, Celine, listen, we're skipping straight to that
Tie
track.
up Celine real quick and be like,
We're like,
You're
listen.
listening to
Pop
this.
Victim.
Pop Victim.
And I think looking back on other artists, this has been a great year for pop. I really
Oh,
do think it's been
I
a great year.
agree.
Truly.
We were blessed with Anti back in February.
True.
Which that was like my February-March pop album was. People were like not about it, which was weird to me. I thought it was one of her best
Me
efforts
too.
to date. I really did.
Yeah.
I can name like half the songs on that album off the top of my head, which for me to do that on like I'm not the biggest Rihanna fan. I like her, but when you know, and this is for any artist, if you're able to name half of an album and be like, this was a jam, this was a jam, this was a jam, I mean, that's a good album, in my opinion. If I can listen to more than half the album and be like, these half was love, and then maybe like, oh, I liked these ones, and like, maybe this one was okay. That's a good album. I don't know. I loved Anti. Lemonade was great.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And I think it definitely got a lot of hype because like it was totally about Jay-Z, banging some other side chicks.
Yeah.
And I think, but even if the lyrics hadn't really been about that, I think the sound, the production, and like a lot of just the stylization, I don't think was excellent. I really think that might win Album of the Year at the Grammys in February. I really do. Because she already won a Grammy of the Year for, I think, what was it? Was it B-Day that she won a Grammy of the Year? Or Beyonce won an Album of the
She
Year
did.
Yeah,
Grammy.
and I
I'm
can't
trying to remember
recall.
which one. I think that could be her second.
I agree with you. I think it was
I
fantastic.
think it's still relevant.
I feel like it was a storytelling album that like made people really interested in like listening to the next song. And I feel like the videos probably helped a lot because you feel like you understand the concept
Yeah,
even
the
more.
visuals were
Yes.
incredible.
Hefty visuals. I think Beyonce, Rihanna, and I would include, I think Lady Gaga in this too. The three of them were like they definitely hit they did a 180. I think they all did. I think a lot of people were like, well, the Anti is kind of like a continuation of blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. I think Anti was new for her. I think Beyonce Lemonade, there's nothing else in Beyonce's catalog that is close to Lemonade.
Yeah.
You could say that her 2013 Beyonce, it was called Beyonce, for those who are like, what, lost? You could say that, oh, well, it's kind of similar. No, it wasn't. I mean, at the end of the day, like, Beyonce's 2013 release was a lot more, there was some emotional stuff to it, but it wasn't as bearing, and it wasn't as naked as I think Lemonade was.
Yeah,
And
I
you could
agree.
tell in 2013 stuff was going down because the song Mine always stood out to me, the one that she did with Drake. It was like, I was like, there's something, like, you're finally getting to see Beyonce, who she is, and then she came out in Lemonade, and you were like, oh my god, like, this has been going on for X amount of time.
Yeah.
I feel like you just said, these artists, Rihanna, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, have been around for so long, but this was the first year you're like, okay, we know who they are as an artist and what their lyrics really mean.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's kind of what's crazy is, like, it goes to show you a lot about pop culture is sometimes it really is kind of a facade. It really is kind of like you're doing it to do it. And I think this year was a huge year for a lot of artists who are like, pop artists, these big superstars to be like, well, I don't care. Or like, maybe not that they don't care about They don't care about the perception that they have. You know, like what did Beyonce do for Lemonade besides the piece? She didn't do any promo for it. She didn't go in front of people. You know, and a lot of people, and I think looking at that too with Rihanna's publicity was very short, and Lady Gaga too, very underwhelming in a lot of ways because we're used to these huge TV performances. We're used to all this just like thrown in our face, and they're kind of just like, here's the music, deal with it. Mm-hmm. And it's some people would argue it's an FU to the fans, but to me it's like, I don't know. I feel like, you know what? At the end of the day, they should be focusing on the music.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're artists. Yeah. That's their art, you know. And I think they need to be raw and honest with that. I don't think, you know, and I think it's hard too because you can see in Britney's first few albums, she didn't have a lot of input in what she was making. You know, a lot of it was like, here, we wrote this song for you. Here, we wrote this song for you. You're going to sing with this random person for this song. And I love her first two albums. I think it's great. It's classic Britney. But I think now she's starting to have more like, no, I want it to sound like this. This is what I want it to sound like. That's why I love Glory so much, because I feel like it is her maturing and it is her evolving in her music. And I think people are starting to really respect her because people had a moment where they were like, she's crazy. She's crazy. I don't want to. She's not. And people still complain about her lip syncing. Listen, she has addressed the issue.
That's her thing.
She's admitted to it. She's like, listen, I dance a lot. And honestly, I don't know if you know this, but the reason that her vocals have like weakened over time is because when she was pretty much being like, I don't want to use the word like manufactured, but while she was, you know, she had all these people on her, like, this is what you're going to do, you're going to have these big shows. They focused on dancing more than they focused on singing. So then she was more into like intense choreography and her vocals kind of like went to the wayside. Yeah. So that's kind of what happened.
And I think she kind of took control a little bit with Britney Jean in 2013. And that's I think why I appreciate it, because to me that marked the time when Britney was like, well, I want to be in charge of my direction. Yeah. I feel like on Femme Fatale in 2011, she was still kind of being told a little bit what to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it was in 2013 where she was like, listen, I'm doing my own thing. And that's why there wasn't promotion for it. That's why it was like, here's the music. And then it came around in 2016 where I think she reached a medium. She's like, well, I'll go to do this radio. I'll do the carpool karaoke, which was the most awkward thing
It was
ever.
awkward because she thought it was stupid that she had to do her old songs. She was like, I don't want to do that. She just strictly wanted a promo for her new album. And I'm like, girl, listen, yes, you can promo for your new album. Yes, that's important. But also recognize that, like, in the eyes of many people, you're still a 90s pop star. So, like, you have to address those hits because those are what brought you where you are. Yeah. So you have to address that. Speaking of that, if we could kind of like switch gears. Speaking of addressing your past, can we talk about Zayn? Do you listen to Zayn? Have you listened to it?
Okay, I'll admit I did not listen to his new album.
Okay.
Which, there's just something I've never been a fan of boy bands.
Okay.
Never really got into that. I appreciated. I'm trying to like there's like a hefty pause there as I try and like formulate. I'm like, how do I tell Ali and Celine the truth without like rubbing salt into it?
You would hurt me more than you'd hurt her.
Wait, what?
It would hurt me more than it would hurt Celine.
I'm gonna look at Celine then. I appreciate that the boys have like gone their own paths. I think that was going to happen.
Yes.
We've been kind of waiting on that. We're still waiting to see who's gay. We're still waiting for that. Because one of them is. Like, I'm sorry. It's one of them is the next Lance Bass. It's just about to happen. But when it comes down to it, I think I'm more excited for their individual projects than I was excited for them as a boy band. Because as a boy band, I think they were like Britney Spears that you just mentioned with their first two albums. I don't feel like they had any control.
Yeah.
As much as they're like, well, we were writing music, we were in the studio. I was like, I think at the end of the day, they were manufactured as a boy band, and there was someone who was controlling them as puppets. I really do. As much as they want to believe that like they had this individual control. So I think now that Zayn, and then we had the new, I actually have not heard the new Niall Horan. Is that his name?
Niall.
Oh my god. I haven't heard his new stuff.
It's fine.
And we're still waiting on the other three. Elf Boy, Harry. I know Harry Styles. Who doesn't know Harry Styles? Elf
Is
guy.
Elf Boy Louis?
I don't know. Which one looks like an elf? Which one had the baby? Baby with the elf.
Yeah, Louis.
Okay, Louis.
Oh,
and then,
my God.
Who's the other one?
Liam.
The other one.
Liam.
The other hot
okay.
one.
Yeah. I mean, I
They're
don't
all
know.
hot.
Well, yeah.
Like,
they're all British, so like I guess the accent.
Niall's Irish, but it's fine.
Oh, oops. Meanwhile, someone over in UK right now is like, "Oh, how dare he?" But, I think I'm more excited for them individually than I am as them that they were ever as One Direction.
I have to second that notion because I liked One Direction, but I felt the same way that they were like sort of pushed in One Direction. Haha. And they,
Zing.
now that they're all on their own, I feel like we're about to see like the realness of each of them.
Let me make a few comments. I agree. I think their first few albums were manufactured. I think as time went on, I think they gained more control, and I think if you listen to their most recent album compared to their first album, they don't even sound like the same band. I mean, like, their later albums had like rock tones and like electric guitar and then like acoustic, more like folk type music. And that's why I think Zayn was like bye, because that's not his sound. He's R&B. But the reason I brought this up is because Zayn is supposedly working on a TV show.
Really?
Supposedly. I don't know if this is true. But it's like he was helping write a TV show, and it sounds like it's going to be kind of bashing One Direction. And we've already heard him in many interviews.
He seems very negative about it.
Which is not fair. Because
I don't think it's fair.
I don't think it's fair. Because
why bite the hand that feeds you?
Yes.
You don't
That's
have
what
to
I'm
go
saying.
eat the food that the hand provides you.
Yes.
The hand did, at the end of the day,
and
give you that
you know
food.
what? It's like and he acts like he was so unhappy, and it was this terrible experience. And they have many like documentary type like movies and stuff where you can see them like actually honestly in the studio hanging out, being friends. They would talk about each other like, yes, like these are my brothers, like I'm very close with these people. So for him to kind of turn around and be like, yeah, I hated it, it was awful, I don't know why I even did it, like blah blah blah, they're not even trying to talk to me, like, well, you kind of just left in the middle of a tour, like I wouldn't be too happy about that.
And I think at the end of the day, too, I think he needs to realize perspective. There are so many people who have great voices who don't make it as far as he did / is doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, no offense to you, you are not whoever you are. You are not that good to have just made it by yourself. You're not that good to make it out of a situation. It's like if you had not managed to click together and then win the competition and XYZ, like you were lucky to be where you're at. Like you could have easily been back home in Sherryside, England, or wherever the heck you're from, and doing this at the local clubs, and that's it.
Right.
So like to be where you're at, like I think that is to be grateful. I mean, there's so many great pop artists out there who I love, who I'm like, they're never gonna see XYZ. They're never going to do stadium tours.
Right.
But I listen to them, even though they're pop, quote unquote pop. It's like because I love them, and you manage to find these gems.
Yes.
And it's like those gems work so hard to stay these small gems.
Yeah.
And you are a huge diamond. As much as I don't want, maybe I don't listen to this diamond. Like you're huge. You have a following.
Yeah.
Pillow Talk was #1. It debuted at #1 on Billboard. Like there's only 22 songs that have done that.
Yeah.
And no offense to Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk to me doesn't sound like this like huge #1 hit anyway. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It was good, but like it's not this fantastic like, oh my god, like I'm wet. Like it's not that kind of song to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do agree. I do hate when artists in general, some of them make comments that it's like, yeah, maybe you weren't exactly happy with One Direction, but don't admit that. Don't say that.
And
Just
don't
keep it
act
to
like they
yourself
were
a little
rude
bit.
to you in any way, because none of them are talking bad about him. He's talking bad about them.
They won't. They won't.
Yeah. I don't think it's fair. And
Who do you think's gonna have the most successful career?
Harry Styles.
I feel like it's going to be a toss-up between Zayn and Harry, because I feel like Zayn is the bad boy of the whole situation.
Zayn has an early start on all of them.
Yes.
He has an album out. He has a #1 single. As much as it's like, was it #1 single?
I mean, I don't know.
But he hasn't had a single to hit the radio since.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, now I don't know if
Like I Would was for a sec.
Like I Would is
I didn't
such
hear it on the
a good
radio.
song.
I haven't heard it. I couldn't tell you. If it played right now, it'd be like,
I feel like you'd like it. I feel like you'd like that album. But Harry is doing acting right now. So he's like filming for a movie, and he just did, I think he's kind of doing modeling too, but he just did, what's that magazine called? Another Man. It's called like Another Man magazine.
Oh, I saw that shoot. It was really good.
It was really good, very artistic.
Yeah.
He's always been very like
He's been very
fashion
like
forward.
very hippie.
Yeah. The whole spread was pretty much just Harry, and I think he's gonna try and take an adling. Oh my God, acting and modeling. We can make that a thing.
Actaline, I like that.
Yeah, we'll
Actaline,
make it a thing.
Just casually. I do some Actaline on the side.
Yeah, on the side. I think he's kind of taking that route, and Niall just released a single, and I
feel
heard
like
that on the
Niall,
radio.
We're gonna hear. I haven't heard the single, so I haven't heard the single, but I feel like he's gonna release an album by February.
Yes.
It sounds very Ed Sheeran-y.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like, and that makes sense to me.
And I think Harry will probably be the next. I feel like the other two, and I don't know the other two, I feel like they might just take a break.
Liam might do some producing because that's what it sounds like he wanted to do. He would remix some of the songs. He liked doing that. Louis, the most recent thing he did was he helped Simon on X Factor UK, and he was a mentor. That's the most recent thing.
Didn't Liam talk about releasing some singles last year and he never got around to it, or he's thinking about it in the future?
It's rumored that his girlfriend, who is 10 years older than him,
Baby mama?
Cheryl, no, he's not the one with the baby.
Oh.
Louis the one with the baby. But it's rumored, though, his girlfriend is Cheryl, and she's a big deal in the UK, not over here.
Okay.
I mean...
Oh, Cheryl Cole?
Cole, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she was married, then she got divorced. She changed her whole last name to, like, something really long and hyphenated it, and then they got divorced, and it was, like, gone. She's Cheryl. So she just goes by Cheryl now. But it's rumored that she's pregnant. Yeah.
So who's gay?
That's what doesn't make sense. That's what I don't understand, because I get the vibe that maybe someone is, but
There has to be.
Maybe
Because
Harry, like plays both fields or both sides of the field.
Yeah, did you hear about that? Nicki Minaj was like trying to pull Beyonce, and she's like, "Oh, here's my album."
Is it legit?
Yes, it's on iTunes.
so.
I haven't listened to
Wait,
it yet.
really? When did this happen?
2 days
today?
ago.
Like last night.
I thought it was
last
a
night?
joke, you guys. 'cause
Oh,
I
then
heard
maybe
about
I
it.
didn't check up correctly, but she was
No,
like,
she definitely tweeted
there's
it,
a
though.
single or an album, a song called Harambe, like bananas, like Harambe or something like that.
Goodness. Okay, I will say I would be ready for a Nicki Minaj comeback, but I would
It's been
not
a
be ready
while.
for Taylor Swift. I feel like Taylor Swift is still dead
It's
in the
called
grass.
"Pick My Fruit Out."
Is it legit?
Yeah. Do you
No.
know her song "Itty Bitty Piggy" from back in the day?
No.
Okay.
I don't go that deep.
Oh,
with her.
okay. Well, it's like a callback to that, because she has a line where she's like, pretty much like talking down to somebody, being like, "You can go pick my fruit out. Like, go get me like some like snake skin handbags and
God.
stuff." So it's called "Pick My Fruit
Wait,
Out."
is it on iTunes? I can't find it.
I don't know. Let's see.
can't
Track
find
list. She has the track list posted
Let me see
on
her
Twitter. It says.
I used to follow her on Twitter, but then I unfollowed her. I just wasn't. I used to be kind of like a little bit more into it, but then I don't know why. And I don't know. Long story made short. But
It says number 1 is mango. Oh, okay. So they're all fruits.
is it a mixtape?
Mango, cherry, watermelon, bananas, parentheses, Harambe interlude, grapes, raspberries, kiwi, pineapple, and Fruit Loops.
This has to be a joke. There's no way
Is
this
it?
is legit, is it?
I'd be shocked if she.
I feel like it might be a joke.
Oh, wait.
Is it?
She said, the one I'm most excited about, however, is track number 10. It's called Bleep, Toss My Fruit Salad, and it features my favorite rapper of all time.
Meek Mill.
Oh, probably.
I guess she hasn't released it because I haven't seen anyone say, "Oh, listen to Bananas."
Wait, but people are like quoting Deluxe Edition features the song Pears
So,
featuring Rick Ross. Is that
it
a
legit?
joke?
I can't tell.
This has to be.
Someone's like, I think it might be a joke.
Is it a joke?
It might be. Yeah, I think it might be because
Oh
someone
my
said
god!
it's a joke.
Why would
There
she?
would be no way, honestly, though, because like you have
Harambe's
Beyonce with
interlude.
Lemonade. I feel like that's just such a.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like too many artists are trying to pull this
But-
like mysterious thing now.
No,
All of a
stop
sudden,
it. Cease.
But
Yes.
also, where has Nicki Minaj been anyway?
It's been, like, 3 or
besides
4
being a
years.
feature.
Yeah, I
besides
mean,
being a feature.
I feel like it's another example though of an artist who kind of like did 3 albums and they got tired, and I mean, I don't know. Roman Reloaded was just that was rough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are. I guess we got blessed with Starships, but it was that was Starships. But I don't know. I always preferred Super Bass to Starships. To me,
Me too.
To me, Super Bass was good, but then Starships was like trying to be the next Super Bass.
Mm-hmm.
And I also
agree.
felt like her second album, she really tried to be all pop, and I was like, you were already pop, like you don't need to try. Her third, she kind of got back into her roots. So I think her next album could shape up to be her best. Because going by that track record, you see artists who, they have a great solid debut, and then it's like the second one goes to just, and then third one they come back, and then it's where that fourth or
Right.
fifth one.
Let's talk about Demi Lovato a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I have mixed feelings. Talk about a mixed fruit salad. You know what? I'm gonna let Ali or Celine. One of you start. I'm gonna try and like focus because right now I feel like that one like meme of Oprah where she like holds
Where
like
she
her
holds her
temples.
head,
She's, like holding her
yes.
temples, and she's just like
Or like the
that's how I
Mr.
feel right
Krabs meme.
Where
Where like
he's
the
all like-
world
he's
is like
shook, he's
shook.
shook.
He's shook.
now. No, that's kind of how I feel. So one of you can take it away. I'm gonna.
You want me to take
collect.
it away? Okay, well, I'm going to start by saying when I was just a young Ali.
Me as well, because we were like 11 or 12.
Yes,
Back when my lips weren't luscious.
Yes,
wasn't,
yes.
You know, like drop dead gorgeous.
Oh my God! When I was like,
Did you wear like the nerdy glasses and like? Did you?
No, I tried to be a little bit of a scene queen, but I couldn't quite go.
Get there.
Like I couldn't get there. Like I couldn't
I feel like
commit
you do
to that
it, but
lifestyle.
like you do it very naturally these days.
Oh my God, I'm
you're
just
very
true.
like you're like it's like a fresh intimidating. It's
Yes.
Oh, well,
I would
thank
say
you.
that.
No, I loved Demi Lovato because I don't know if this is because I don't know I related to her in some way.
She was a bit of a rebellious, like, punk
Yeah,
girl for the
and I
Disney
like-
crew.
yes,
Like, that's
and
why
I
I
loved
related.
it.
I will
Yeah,
second that. She
and-
was definitely the one who kind of was like, nah,
And
nah.
yeah, and I was like the number one Jonas Brothers stan. The number one. So when you kind of always associate like Jonas Brothers, Demi Lovato. They worked together on a lot of things.
They toured
Camp
just
Rock.
this summer.
And I saw Demi. Well, I saw Demi open up for the Jonas Brothers on the Burn It Up
We
tour.
were at the same
We were at the
concert. We didn't know each other.
Yeah, cute.
Plot twist.
So I've like always loved and supported Demi Lovato. Now, recent turn of events, she is.
She's a diva.
Okay,
She's
been
annoying.
She's been problematic, and I've been just like, you know what? It's okay.
She
Like,
went
I've
through
been
some
trying
crazy
to
stuff.
deny
Like,
it.
we let her.
The problem to me is, I feel like it's like one step forward, one step back.
Yes.
Like she'll make a comment and it'll be like, you know, it's very important that we have awareness on this issue, and I'm like, I agree.
Yes.
And then her next comment is like, I don't know if you saw it recently, the artist, the guy
Yes.
who did the
Yes.
artist drawing of her as a
Yes.
mermaid. It's a drawing of a mythical creature with her face.
Okay,
It's literally a
for
drawing.
those of
And
you
she
who don't know.
commented, complaining, saying, well, is this what I look like? I don't think so. That's not my body. And it's like, he's not trying to fat shame you. He
you
was
don't
not
have a tail.
trying to
Yes.
Yeah. It's not like he's trying to take you as a full representation. It's your face on a mermaid. It's like, just be like, if you're going to comment, I would have commented saying, love it. Like,
Yes.
looks great. Because it was a great drawing.
It was
Yes.
fantastic. It
And
looked
then
exactly
he was
like her.
so upset because, as you would be, when the person who you're drawing is like, it goes
You
on that
spend
complaint.
hours drawing that person who you clearly look up to and maybe even idolize if you took the time to draw that picture very artistically.
You're invested.
Yeah. And for her to just be like, but then she was like, gorgeous drawing, but is that really what I look like? That's not my body. My boobs don't look like that. My waist doesn't look like
Which
that.
is a slap in the face.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Even if she commented gorgeous drawing, you forget that she said that the
Yeah,
second she goes on a
and-
rant about this isn't how I look. And I get it from her perspective. She's had a lot of issues with looks and feeling confident, and I get that. That's a huge problem for a lot of girls out there, and I relate to that. But this is not the place to bring that in.
Mm-hmm.
That's like honestly, it's like going to court over the neighbor accidentally like stepping on your flower. Like it's like it's
Yeah,
drawn
it's
up
li-
to
yes.
like it's like no.
Yeah.
And it's not even an insult. It wasn't like he stepped on a flower. He planted a flower for you.
Yeah.
And then you were like, he stepped on my flower. Like, that's how annoying it is.
And honestly, okay, and then she'll be like, we need to promote body positivity. All different types of bodies are beautiful. But then she'll turn around and say, look at Taylor Swift's squad. Those aren't normal body types. They're creating this image for girls to look up to that isn't realistic. Those are their bodies too.
Mm-hmm.
Being body positive isn't just embracing curvier women. It's
yeah,
also
it is.
embracing
It's
skinny
embracing all
women and
sizes.
thin women
Absolutely.
because some women are naturally thin. It's not fair to go up to them and be like, you need to eat a burger or put some meat on your bones. That's not fair either.
It's the same spectrum of just you being a
Yeah.
I don't have to leave that out.
Yes.
No, but it is.
But it's the
it
truth.
really is.
But that goes, and that's not to like say that she's the only one wrong. This goes for anyone. It's like when you say, you know, like, oh, we want to support the gays, and then, you know, you bash the straights, or you want to support. It's like when it comes down to it, it's like you need to like stand by what you say. Like, it's very hypocritical to be like, we need to stand up for women and then go and bash women.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hypocritical to be like, we need to stand up for I don't know, in general. And I feel like that's the problem with her is it's a lot of like, do this, do this, do this. And then it's kind of like, but are you doing that? Are you supporting body positivity when you shame? And I don't like Taylor Swift a lot. I feel like she is, when it comes to the snake in the grass, she's Cobra. Oh my God. I love how natural this conversation is because now I'm just slipping out swear words left and right, and I'm like, keep it in, sailor, keep it in. But that's a problem. It's a problem.
It is a problem.
It makes you look bad. It
Yes.
really does. Like, you know, it's not like it's a cardinal sin. She's not killing anybody, but it's very, like, oh, like it's just sketchy.
And she already has this like bad track record with like these singles flopping. Like, girl, you have to make them like
Maybe
you.
she's mad.
Yes.
I think she's mad because when she put out Body Say, she was,
I
think,
never heard the
it's
song.
not bad, but it's not like
it's
she wanted
really
it to go
pushing
high.
This, like, it's pushing this, like, sexual thing very strong. Not like, and like,
Which is weird because, like, wasn't it like last year where she's like, I'm not here to be sexy. I'm not here to do. And then, like, but she'll contradict herself where then she'll drop that. And she said the one time, I don't care about charts, but then she cares about charts.
Yes.
Because here's the thing. I don't mind when a song is like sexy or pushing that kind of thing. I don't mind that at all. Do that. If that's what you want to sing about, go girl, do it. Brittany, get it. Go for it. But when you're like almost like obscenely, like explicitly, and it's not her. That's why, or maybe it is her and we don't know, but I think she's trying to push it too hard. I think it's like she's trying to go from...
She's like, is this what sells? Like,
yeah, almost in Miley Cyrus fashion. Like, I'm not a Disney kid anymore. Yeah. It was like too much all at once. There's a lot of that, though.
And I feel like Ariana Grande's kind of done that a little bit, too.
I think her
more
progression... Yeah, I think it's more tasteful. And I also think her progression was a little slower. If you go her first album to her second album to her third album, you hear the first album was like pure bubblegum pop. Her second album had a few, like the song Hands on Me. It's like, oh, okay. But then the third album, like then she's like, I'm a dangerous woman. And you're like, she kind of grew with it.
The thing is, it's not believable. That's the one thing. I don't see her as a dangerous woman. And it's not like she can play the persona, and that's fine. But, like, I think if she were to try and be like, yeah, like, I'm a dangerous woman, I'd be like, no, you are not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, keep it. If that's your persona, that's your, like, your actress kind of in you, that's fine. But if she were to literally come up in this podcast right now and be like, listen, I'm a dangerous woman, I would be like, listen. And then I go on. I think my favorite single so far that she's released is Into You.
Yes,
Ooh,
I would agree.
And
it didn't smash as much as I thought it would.
No, it didn't.
I was a little surprised.
Yes.
And I got into an argument with my roommate, actually, because he was all about Dangerous Woman. And he's like, it's sexier, it's blah, blah. I was like, really? I was like, Dangerous Woman's decent, but, like, Into You is, like, how do you not, like, get into somebody when you listen to that song? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Side to Side.
Ooh, I live for that song. I called that one being a single when it was on that, when I listened to the album. I was like, that's going to be a single.
Well, and part of it has to do with the feature with Nicki Minaj, absolutely. Like, that's just two girls in one, you know, you sell that, but... and I actually have not listened to the album. There's a few people who like. I'm like I should just so like I experience it, but that like Zayn's album.
Give him a fair shot, man.
I need to put on I know I'm a little, you know.
Especially Ariana,
I'm a pure elitist.
There are some good bops on that album, and I feel like they diversify themselves. There's like a slower bop that you're like okay, and then there's like Greedy, for example, which plays on this like whole like R&B like kind of.
Almost
old
like
school.
gospel.
Yeah, it's really good.
She's released an album like pretty much on a yearly cycle a little bit. So do you think this is gonna be the album that she kind of carries for a little bit? Because I think this has been her most successful album. I think it's one of the most highly streamed Spotify albums. It's still, I think, number 10 on iTunes.
Yeah.
And when did it come out? June, July?
June, I think.
Over the summer.
So like for it to still be top 10 on iTunes, like that is.
Yeah, impressive.
Like, I don't want to say this is where she's peaking in her career.
Oh, I hope not.
This is what I would say is probably one of the most... where eyes are on her.
Yeah.
And, like, for example, like, in 2009 to 2011 is, like, all eyes are on Lady Gaga. And then kind of Katy Perry was all eyes on her from, like, 11 to 13. And, you know, like, she, I think, is kind of becoming who the eyes are on. And that isn't to say that Katy Perry and Lady Gaga are irrelevant. I mean... Lady Gaga's in the Super Bowl. I feel like that's far from being irrelevant.
Katy Perry's a little bit irrelevant.
I
don't
she reminds me of Demi in the way that it's like she tweeted the other day. She's like, instead of going out to the club, why don't you stay home and watch this documentary and get woke? And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I was
calm
like,
down.
this is from the girl who sings about California girls and like being a plastic bag and like who makes you a doctorate in getting woke? Like, just like slow your roll.
Yes.
But we kind of talked about this before we went on air, and I feel like this is a good time to bring it up. That a lot of pop people have returned, and they're kind of, it's like, they're not really sticking to the wall.
Yeah,
like
they have
Britney,
like that one hit,
Katy
and then
Perry,
they fade out.
Yeah.
Even Lady Gaga, and then Bruno Mars's new song. None of these seem to be sticking. I don't know. I mean, Bruno Mars is
Uptown
relatively
Funk
right
was
now.
like there.
Well, I
and
feel
then
like for
overplayed.
Katy Perry's decision for Rise, that was just like a weird single. Like for years to not have a song and be like, here's some weird song.
It was for the Olympics, and it didn't feel like an Olympic song.
No, it felt sad.
It was sad.
It was like, it was just like, it didn't fit. Like, I
Yes.
think an Olympic song needs to have, like, vigor. It needs to have, like, a kick to it. But,
There's just something about her I don't like. I just have never been a fan.
she's also been one where I get the snake in the grass.
Yes, and
More so I
yes.
get that with Taylor.
Oh,
more
yeah.
so. At least with Katie, you know, I think she has good intentions. I think it's just, she's one of those girls, she's one of those people, you know, guys can be this too, but it's just like, you're kind of like you're all over the place, and you say this that contradicts this, you do this contradicts that. Whereas Demi, honestly, I feel like she needs a wake up call a little bit on some of the stuff that she says and does. Like Katie, it's just like she doesn't realize that she comes across like XYZ.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too, at least for me, with like Demi and Ariana, problematic or not, they have some vocals. Okay, they can sing. Taylor Swift does not have the vocals for her to be out here being problematic, being a snake.
What was the one performance? It was, I think she did Out of the Woods, and it was for like VMAs or something. Was it last year's VMAs? She opened with Out of the Woods, and the audience members, you could just tell some of them were just like, really?
It's
She's
like
selling
shocking.
millions of copies of material.
I'm sorry, but it shocks me how so many people are like
They
so
buy into
blinded.
it. I feel like they bought into it, and I don't get what's bought into.
I don't understand. don't get
even
it.
old school, like Love Story. I like Love Story.
Okay, yeah.
I
live-
liked when she did like Speak Now, like that was nice.
Yeah, the
but then
old,
when
old
she hit
country.
Red, I was like,
Ugh.
to me, it spoke of a facade. Like, you know, she utilized her country audience to gain mass popularity, and then slowly transformed to a pop audience to gain even more mass popularity. And now she's kind of forgotten her country roots. Like, completely.
Entirely.
Like 1989, and I actually have never listened to the whole 1989 album, mainly because it's not on Spotify. And no offense, I'm not buying your album. Who do you think you is to withdraw? Like, no.
Yes.
I've heard that 14 singles you've released from it, so maybe I have heard the whole album.
Right.
But, and also, it was so shady to me so she released like 8 songs as albums. Like, first of all, what is this, 1980? Like, are you the Thriller Michael Jackson album? Like, who do you think you are to do
Right.
that? Like, we get it. And then she was releasing trash songs as singles. New Romantics? Like, come on, that's not single material. The New Romantics is the kind of song that's like the filler deluxe edition, which it was the deluxe edition.
It was
track.
deluxe.
Like, it was just...
Yeah.
The only thing that could be worse was when Katy Perry kept putting out these songs with, like, the new rap remix.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
I love E.T. E.T. is one of my favorite songs, but then for the radio, it had to feature Kanye West, and that's part of the reason it did so well.
Oh, yeah.
Part of the reason California Girls did Snoop Dogg. Like, that just gets to another audience. And what was it on... she put Missy Elliott on the freaking Last Friday Night remix.
Yeah. What?
Like, just to get that extra sales, just to get that boost to number 1. I'm like, come on.
Yeah,
Like, it's
that's
a ploy.
reaching.
It's a ploy.
Yeah, I can't handle that. But yeah, like I said, I think Ariana Grande has one of the best voices.
Yeah, I will.
Of our
I will second
generation.
that. In terms of when it comes to pop people who have great voices, who it's like you gotta respect their voices. She's one of them. She's not a songwriter. She's not a producer, but she has a voice. And at the end of the day, it's like you gotta have one of the three for me. Either you're writing it, you're producing it, or you just have a really good voice.
Now,
And she does nail the voice.
now here's my issue. Taylor Swift is the writer, but I have an issue with her songwriting. I don't shame her for using relationships as a basis for songwriting because
I feel like
everyone
that's
does
just her
that.
Crutch. That's her crutch.
Everyone does that, but I don't like the fact that she will like write the song, make it so obviously about another celebrity that she's dated, go on TV and then be like, I wonder who this one's about. Haha, the guy who broke up with me after a 27-second phone call. Blah, 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 Joe Jonas.
It's gonna get to a point where like it's gonna be like hookups, like I accidentally slept with so and so in the hotel room. That's a great song. I'll call it Hotel Room 46. Like it's gonna get so bland.
Well, right, and I just
She's
feel
running out
like
of
it's
options.
cheap. I think it's
Yeah.
cheap songwriting. The way that the song Dear John is about John Mayer.
Yeah,
John,
obvious.
and, okay, yeah. super obvious. And I love
It could be Dear
John
George,
Mayer.
Dear Joe. Like, just disguise it by like one name.
Right, and I love John Mayer. And John Mayer went through a period where he was known as being kind of like the bad guy of Hollywood. He was kind of saying all these terrible things. And he stepped out of the spotlight and kind of like moved to Montana, separated himself, found himself, took a really long break, and then he did this Rolling Stone interview. And in this interview, he was like, honestly, that was like kicking me while I was down. Like, you made it sound like I was this terrible person. It was just cheap songwriting. Because John Mayer was in a bad place, and like to the point where Rolling Stone came to interview him, and he felt so nauseous that he actually got sick, like threw up. They had to leave and came back the next day because he was like so distraught about like apologizing for all these things.
Yeah.
And then they brought up the Taylor Swift thing, and he was like, that was horrible. That was terrible. And it's like,
but it's so many songs. Like Style. Everyone knows it's
Oh
about
my
Harry
God.
Styles.
what was the song? Okay, she wrote We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together or whatever before her and Harry broke up. But then after they broke up, when she sang it at the VMAs in front of One Direction, she said that one line with a British accent.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what?
The I Still Love You.
Yeah,
like,
I Still Love You. That whole thing, she said it in a British accent. And you could see the whole time that, like, when One Direction was up there, when they got an award, when they were presenting, her and Selena were, like, shady, like, talking about them, like, laughing at them. And Harry could not be bothered. Like, he's like, whatever. He doesn't care.
Mate.
But it's like, why do you have to make such a big ordeal out of it? Like, why do you have to? It's just all, to me, it's all about attention.
she lives for drama.
Yeah.
I think my favorite, where it's so obvious, was when, so Ed Sheeran wrote Don't, which is a great song about Ellie Goulding. And then a year later, I think it was like a year, it took a while, she finally wrote her version, which is On My Mind, which I love On My Mind. But what was so different about that song was it was totally calling him out for saying what he did, but it was like, but I still got you on my mind, and I don't know why. And I was like, that takes a lot of, like, guts, if you're going to, like, publicly kind of connect a song to someone, then to kind of say, oh, but, like, here's the truth. This is actually kind of how I feel. Like, yeah, like, I kind of messed up with you, Ed Sheeran, but, like, that to me takes more guts than being, like...
Than just bashing the person.
Dear John, F you, or Harry Styles, I'm going to mock your British accent. Like, for her, and I have heard a lot about Ellie Goulding, and it sucks because you're like, oh my God, she has a great voice, but then, like, you hear some horror stories of, like, oh, she kind of got around a little bit with, like boyfriends, and, and I feel bad because I love Marie and the Diamonds, and apparently Marie and the Diamonds was dating Burns, who's a producer, and while she was dating him, Ellie Goulding and Burns hooked up or something, and I'm like, oh my God, like,
wow.
And I love her,
that.
and I love
Marie
Marie
that
Diamonds way more than Ellie Goulding. Like, I got all three of her albums on my iPhone.
I saw her
and
live.
I think Ellie only has just Halcyon. Because I love Lights.
Oh, yeah.
Lights, Halcyon,
And
Halcyon Days.
I liked her Ellie Goulding's Delirium, which I think that dropped was that a year ago?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. I liked it, but there's something about Halcyon, which I think is where she fits best.
Yes.
Where it's like this ambient, just like
Anything can
spacious
happen.
electronic.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't mind her pop stuff, but I don't know.
It fit
I
her
always
better.
will be huge for when she just does this just out of body electronic.
But I agree. She definitely didn't use that situation with Ed Sheeran in like a cheap way to write a song. Like, she actually took it from like more of an emotional angle and was like,
yeah,
I still think about you type deal.
Which I thought it takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, I agree.
Can we go back to pop gems and talk about Carly Rae Jepsen?
The underrated
Okay.
queen.
Hashtag unpopular opinion. I still have not heard Emotion. I know. I feel like I'm like
I've only
I'm at
listened to
confession.
it once.
I'm at confession with two priests right now, admitting how many pop albums that like I talk about or act like I know that I don't. People keep saying, "Listen to Emotion, listen to Emotion." I don't know why I haven't. I don't know why. I haven't.
Listen, I did not understand the hype. I'm like, Call Me Maybe. What?
I didn't
really,
either.
really,
Who's
really,
this
really,
girl?
really like you.
She called. Maybe she
I
did.
listened to it ironically because I saw so many people tweeting about it and vining about it, saying this is like so good, and
The
I thought
title,
it was
I think that's what really
Yes.
got me with it. I was like, Emotion. Like, what do you know about emotion, Carly Rae
yeah,
Jepsen?
right.
I anticipated it to be like a joke because everyone was like joking about it. I listened to it and I was like, oh my God, this is underrated pop gold. She is single-handedly saving the genre of pop, just like the
She's like
undercover
a pure
hero.
pop queen. Like
Yeah.
like pure pop. It's so, oh my God.
The single Emotion from the album
Oh,
Emotion
yeah.
is my favorite
You
Carly
are,
Rae
like-
Jepsen song of all time.
You are like totally like low key putting a plug. You're like the single Emotion from the album Emotion.
I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to plug
Or-
Aaron Carter's single in here, but we'll do that later.
Yes.
So did Aaron Carter tweet today that he may have supported Trump earlier?
Yes, last
Oh,
That was
year.
yes.
very vague.
A year ago.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Wow.
so this is what happened. So early on, Aaron Carter was like, and this was before Trump was too crazy. This was
when they were all candidates
But-
in the Republican Party.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
when everybody was still there, and he was like, "Oh, I kind of like the idea of like a non-politician." You know how when everyone's
Yeah.
basis of thought was like, maybe that wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
As time went on, though, and then everyone started interviewing Aaron Carter, like, "You're supporting Donald Trump," and he was like, "Yeah, like I like his ideas," and everybody's like, "Wait, do
What
you hear the
ideas?
other things that he's saying?" All of a sudden, like, I saw him, he stopped tweeting about it altogether. And then the first debate, he was like, "Oh my God, Hillary's killing it right now." And I was like, that's my boy. And then he just tweeted today, "No, I do not support Donald Trump anymore." And I quoted it, and I was like, "True American icon, saving
Slay.
America single-handedly."
You know what my favorite comments of lately have been? I love when they say, your faith can never.
Yes.
I love legends only. Like when
Yeah.
because when you know the Lady Gaga Florence Welch duet got announced.
Yes.
And there was like people who were like legends only, which
Yeah.
actually I heard the snippet of that collab. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
It's very like 70s kind of like Elton John,
Ooh.
like piano with like a little bit of. But I only heard the snippet like in the beginning, so I'm wondering how it's gonna escalate. Like watch it turn from this like kind of like nice like kind of like soft pop rock to like this like dubstep like wub 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 like with Florence like
Wub,
woo, you know.
Your fave could never.
Your fave
No, that's my
never.
that's literally.
I love that legends only.
When will your
I also
fave?
like
When
a
will your
new
fave?
When will your fave? A new one that saw is like they'll be like Queen of blank, so it'll be like Katy Perry got Chipotle, and they'll be like Queen of getting Chipotle.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so funny because they talked about it too, how like you know like Lady Gaga's doing like all indie or whatever. They're like Queen of indie. I'm like,
Well, and people don't get why I do that, but like I'll do that even for like guys. I'll be like queen, like
Yeah.
literally for Aaron Carter.
King of
like,
not supporting Trump.
Yeah, I could be like queen of American politics.
King of changing mind over politics. Like it's just so funny to me.
Queen of
'cause-
enlightenment.
Queen of enlightenment.
yeah.
We do have to talk real quick about the Kanye concert because we never talked about it.
Yes.
Did we like it? I liked it.
I loved it.
Oh, did we like it? Yes.
Let's
Khloe
just talk about how
Kardashian was
grateful we
there.
were that the robbers didn't strike when he was in Cleveland.
Yes.
Because then we would have been a little.
I-
we would have
That was-
understood.
I'm
we would've
sorry, that was
understood, but
horrifying.
It was
Yes.
horrifying. It was crazy.
Oh my God! Did you see the picture of Kim with North?
No.
She was leaving her apartment, and North is like clinging onto her,
Oh my
and
God.
Kim is wearing like a sweatshirt with her hood up, big sunglasses on, like looking like nobody look at me, like sprinting to where she had to go. I mean, they are really
Shook.
removing
Why
themselves.
it's scary to me is how someone and I'm not a big fan of the Kardashians, never have been. I'm not going to pretend to be like, oh my God, you know. But like at the that's gonna be bleeped out too. But at the end of the day, you know, and I agree with some of the celebrities who tweeted this. It's like she is a person, she's a mother, she is this, and that's scary. That someone in her position, her caliber, got affected like that. Like, where was her security? Where was XYZ? And they said a lot too about like, well, they shouldn't be posting social media like right away. They should save like the photos for. But it's so sad that we have to think that way.
Don't victim shame her. That's what they're doing.
That is like, it is kind of victim shaming where they're like, well, don't post the Snapchat like when you do it, like post it later, like. But that's just saying put on a bulletproof vest because we're not gonna address the bullet.
It's like why should we tell a celebrity of her stature who is known for putting everything out there, and that's what she does, and she's very open about
I think,
that.
what, like 10 seasons now?
Yeah,
Like,
for always.
it's a decade.
So it's like, how can we tell her, like, oh, it's your fault that you posted that Kanye got you a new ring, so you deserve to have 5 armed men tie you up, throw you in a bathtub, and threaten to
she
kill
could
you.
have been raped.
Yeah.
She
That's
could
what
have
she
been
said she
murdered.
was scared of. They said she was like screaming and begging for her life. The fact that people, you know how on Facebook you could either like, love,
Yeah.
laugh, wow, all those things. For, I think, the E! News post, the top 3 reactions were because people probably just liked it as they were
Yeah.
going through, the sad one and the laughing one. People were laughing. They found it humorous. To me, that is sick. I'm like, she is a human being. I don't like Taylor Swift. I would not want Taylor Swift to get thrown into a bathtub. I don't like there's so many people that I don't like that I'm like, they're still a human being. They're still a family member. She's a person. She's a wife. She's a daughter. She's a mother of 2 young children. She's an aunt. You know, she's a sister. Like, how are you going to sit there and be like, ha ha ha, this is so funny. Like, too bad she didn't die. What is wrong with you?
First of all, that's psychopathic behavior. But at the end of the day, pop culture it's a coliseum. We're all here for entertainment. We're all here to watch them battle it out a little bit. But in truth, you don't want someone like her to be, or anyone to be victimized, to be attacked, to be, you know, stolen, raped, murdered. I mean, and then to laugh about it or to suggest otherwise, that, you know, to imply that it's funny, to imply that, well, like, who cares, or like, she's fine, like, get over it, like, that just goes along with so many just terrible societal problems and perceptions.
People thought it was a publicity stunt. I'm like, if you think for a second that the Kardashians need more publicity, you're crazy.
Trust me, she proved this summer when she ended Taylor Swift that she does not need stunts.
That was the greatest moment of my life.
It just confirmed for, I think, a lot of people like me, who was like, this just shows you that sometimes people want to be all bubbly, but behind them it's like hot water.
Yeah. My mom and I, shout out to Karen, we have always known she tries to pull off this, like, all-American girl, sweetheart,
She'll
like,
see
America's
you in court,
sweetheart.
Yes,
and my mom has always been like, I don't believe that for a minute. No. Like, I see through that. I've always seen through that. I'm like, she's a
all
snake.
These relationships, these guys are like, like, they just, I don't know.
What's the common factor?
Like, poor Calvin Harris.
What's the common factor?
Yeah, poor Calvin Harris.
Calvin Harris, that was horrible. I'm like, you purposely you wrote that on that song under a name.
A pseudonym.
A pseudonym.
Yeah.
On purpose, because you didn't want credit. And then as soon as it charts, you're like, excuse me, where's my credit?
Well, what was weird was, so apparently what really bothered her was, he was in an interview and they were like, well, will you collab with Taylor Swift? He goes, no, like, which a lot of, like, artists who date together, they're like, we won't collab because it's like,
weird.
We just won't.
Yeah.
And I think part of it too is, like, if you break up, then you kind of have this song together that, what if it becomes a hit? Like, then it's awkward. But like, you hear it like every 2 seconds. But, and she got really pissed because she had written, This Is What You Came For, which, by the way, I love Rihanna, so like that's kind of why I like the song. I think when it comes to, like, underwhelming, I was underwhelmed by the song.
I could see that.
I expected more.
I expected
We Found Love too, in a way. And the drop is kind of like, for Calvin Harris. I mean, well, Calvin Harris, and he fits that mode of, like, very simplistic dance, which I like simplistic dance, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, just give me that one little kind of bleep boop hook and call it a day. But I don't know. That was kind of one of the songs where I was like, It's like, although, hey, I mean, it was better than some pop hits this summer.
Yeah, I agree.
They
all started sounding the same to me.
They do. And some of these newer artists, I'm not buying. I'm not buying Shawn Mendes. I'm not buying... Who else am I not buying? Oh, the Chainsmokers are so annoying to me. Did you read the article that they did with Billboard?
No.
Oh, it was so pretentious. They're like, yeah, we're already creating sounds that people are copying. I'm like, who's copying you after
no one's paying attention to you.
Well, it reminds me of LMAFO. Remember when LMAFO, like, ruled? I think it was like summer of 2011. They had Sexy and You Know It. They had Party Rock Anthem. They were huge.
The Age of
DJ
Jersey Shore.
Duo.
Yeah, the Age of Jersey Shore.
Yeah. It's like, who are you to say you're going to be inspirational when you're a DJ duo who in 2 years could be gone?
Yeah. That's like those people who sue artists and they're like, they stole this sample from me. They don't know who you are. Like, I guarantee you, like, these really big, like, Max Martin doesn't go searching on the internet for, like, obscure
references.
like guitar samples from a really weird album that you released that has, like, less than 1,000 views on YouTube. I guarantee you, like, they try and sue them and say it's the same, and they don't even sound that similar. Yeah. Like, no one's paying attention to you.
It's like they do, and sometimes these artists are big enough to where it's like, you know, maybe, like, someone heard that, and then, like, when they were in the studio, they were like, I feel like it's very easy sometimes when you're in the studio and you're like, oh, like, what's a good hook? And you start, like, singing something, and you're like, that kind of sounds familiar, but, like, let's use it. And then, like, maybe
well, then
months
you get
later,
into trouble.
you find out, like, oh my gosh. But I forget who says it, but someone always says it. There's, like, some artists, they're like, listen, there's not an infinite amount of chord arrangements. Like, songs are bound to sound alike. You know, some of them sound too weird. But
Yeah, I agree.
also, I want Kesha to come back.
Yes.
Oh,
I need her to.
Queen.
I feel like I don't know if her next album's gonna get approved, but I feel like it's gonna be.
I feel so bad for her.
I
Yes.
do too. I think that was
How
the biggest
horrible.
bullcrap. Well, apparently the judge who ruled in that case, they have a conflict of interest with Sony. I forget what it was. I don't know if they had a family member in Sony or something,
Wow.
but I think I remember reading that article that, and to me that's what's even that's the saddest of all. It's like, you know, whether or not that played a part is different, but the fact that it could play a part and that someone in a judge caliber might shift because of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so dangerous.
Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Really terrible.
She had those first 2 albums were great, like great pop albums.
I
And
loved Die Young. I was a huge fan of Die Young. The problem with Die Young, though, was it was doing very well. It was probably going to become number 1, but then Sandy Hook happened, and Die Young, and plus, like, Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
And then right when that happened, that
message
song kind of
was-
just got thrown off the playlist because, you know, it's
it was
like,
too soon.
Yeah. It's not like you want to say you feel bad for Kesha, but it's one of those things where, like, sometimes when you put out material, like, you never know, like,
yeah.
what happens.
That was
Like when 9/11 and Bodies Hit the Floor came out. Like,
Yeah,
it was-
coincidentally bad timing. And there's nothing she could do about that. I
No.
mean, if that
The
incident
song
didn't
still did
happen,
very well. Otherwise, it reached, I think, number 2
Yeah.
or 3. I mean, so it's a top 10 hit. Like, it probably would, like I said, probably would have gone number 1.
Oh, I'm
if
sure.
Sandy
I'm
Hook
sure.
hadn't happened. But there's a lot of famous songs, though, that you're like, that has to be number 1, and it's not. Bad Romance, number 2. And you know who blocked it, ironically? Kesha with TikTok.
Really?
TikTok held number 1 for 8 or 9 weeks, maybe 10, and Bad Romance was number 2 for like
Bad
9 or
Romance
10
was
weeks.
such a good
And yeah, but you would
song.
assume that would have gone number 1.
Especially because it was such a big Lady Gaga hit.
it's an iconic song.
If she does not open the Super Bowl with rah, 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 I'm gonna be disappointed. But is there anything else, ladies? Because I feel like I've kept you for a long time. I don't want to steal you away like Ali does to Celine with the new Glory album, which is available on iTunes. Queen of being on the iTunes. Any other small tidbits for the current state of pop?
Any plugs?
Any plugs?
Fool's Gold, Aaron Carter.
Oh yeah, let me plug that real quick.
Yeah, king of having a new single and not supporting Trump at the same time.
Yeah, king of American politics. Aaron Carter. This is crazy. Like, okay, everyone remembers Aaron Carter from being a young child and having his posters everywhere and crying because he was so beautiful. And I Want Candy and Aaron's Party. Yep. Yeah. So he's back. He's out of debt. He's back. He really he had to file for bankruptcy. His parents didn't manage his money correctly. It was drama. But he produces his stuff himself. And his brother Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys just dropped off a bunch of studio stuff at his house. He's been producing it himself. His single Fool's Gold, and I'm not just saying this because it's Aaron Carter. It's so good.
It's unexpectedly good.
Like so good.
Not a shocker. I haven't heard it.
No, I'm
feel like
sure.
half these things
That's
you guys
why
are,
I'm.
like, referencing,
That's
I'm
why
like,
I'm plugging this.
I know it, but
No,
I'll have to check it out.
It's actually so good. The beat. Oh my god.
We've listened to it probably 200 plus times in the last month.
It's crazy. And you know what? I'm really, really proud because he just got a record deal. Was it with Sony? Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
we don't like
I know.
Sony. But we like that he got a deal.
But we like that he did that because that's
Yeah.
a big deal for him
Absolutely.
to be on that.
To
So
go
so
from top of gold.
so
Yeah.
when we FaceTimed the other day, he told me that
You guys FaceTime?
yeah, so he told me that his album's going to be coming within the next year or so.
How did you FaceTime him?
He was like, it
you
was
kn-
before a show. You didn't see? Did you know that
She met him.
Yeah, I knew you
Okay.
met him.
Yeah. No, he like tweeted the one day he was bored. He's like, I'm bored. I want to FaceTime someone. And he like
You probably got that notified to your phone.
Oh, listen. So he tweeted his number, and I was like, okay. I was like,
That's bold.
yeah. And like, but I'm like, how many people are like trying to call him right now? And then I was like, you know what? He probably won't answer mine anyway because he's probably getting so many.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I look terrible, but whatever. So I call him. 3 rings, and he answers, and he goes, I know you, I just met you, how are you? And he called me baby Kylie because he thought I resembled Kylie Jenner, so
Which
he was
you
like,
kind of low-key, yes, I agree.
"Oh, thanks, my lips are real.
I know, baby. Trust
But,
me, I can tell.
But yeah, he was just like, oh my God, I know you. Like, how have you been?
You were shook.
I was shook. I was not okay.
You were on the floor.
Yeah, and we were like talking.
You were like, I would have gotten all ready and suited up.
I know, and then he was like talking, he was being so sweet, and we were talking about his album. Huh?
How long was the call?
Oh my God, like
10 minutes.
10 minutes. But like,
still.
That's a long time, because then he was like, no, stop. Like, I don't want to talk. Like, people were trying to call him. He was like, no, go away. Like, I'm talking to Ali. Like, I'm busy. Yeah, and then he was like, text me your name so I have it. And I was like, if he saves my number, I'm going to be not okay.
Yo,
but yeah, so I have the inside. Oh, stop. I have the inside scoop. So yeah, album's coming soon, Fool's Gold.
Yo, you should get him to come on the podcast.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, fly out to
like,
Glee.
listen, I have a fun friend named Matt who doesn't know any pop artists.
You know what? You know what's
he
funny?
didn't listen to Emotion by Kylie Rae Jepsen.
Wait, you know what's funny? The most shocking thing for everyone isn't that like Aaron Carter's back, it's that he has a neck tattoo. Everyone's like so shook by the fact that he has a neck tattoo. Yeah.
I like how I said he does. Like,
he is.
He does / he is.
He is.
Like,
no,
he is
yeah. And then because in our picture we took, he was like, no, you have to stand on this side because of my neck tattoo. And I was like, that's my bad side. And he was like, stop. And I was like, stop. But yeah, he has
You're
a neck
like,
tattoo.
listen, call me.
Yeah.
But you did.
But you did. Yeah, but yeah, he has a neck tattoo, which is shocking the nation.
No, I'm already
the
shocked.
American nation
Already
that he
shocked.
saved. Thanks, Aaron, for saving the nation. # don't vote for Donald Trump. Okay.
We feel better about him.
I do. That honestly.
King of switching political sides.
That relieved so much pressure, because when I heard that, I'm like, okay, like he's problematic. Like this is a problematic stance to take. Because like it's like him and Hulk Hogan supporting Donald Trump right now in the celebrity world.
Hogan.
Like get out.
TBT.
TBT.
And Ann Coulter.
So anyway, yeah, Fool's Gold.
Okay.
Buy it on iTunes.
We'll plug that, yeah. Along with Glory.
And Glory,
Pre-order
yeah.
Joanne.
Also, yeah, all of it. Listen to Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen.
And Zayn's new album if you haven't.
And Ariana Grande's album in full.
And everything. So without further ado, thank you so much, Ali and Celine.
Thank you for having us.
We've talked for a long time. It did not feel like a long time. Your boy, it's like looking at the clock and he's like, oh my God, I feel like such a grandpa, but your boy has to be under the cushions. So under the cushions. So we will see you guys. We'll have you guys in soon. Maybe we'll do another topic. I don't know. What do we like to talk about? What just life, love,
food.
Oh, she's the foodie. I'll talk about whatever.
Food,
I like food. I just don't. I'm not like a culinary expert, but I will talk about.
The ways culinary expert. Sounds so mystique. But anyway, thanks for tuning into this long edition, but very good edition. Long and juicy. Just it's like Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen. Just long and just juicy. Celine just died. Celine's in a coma. We're gonna send her in. Make sure to listen to these single Emotion. But we'll see you in for another time. Thanks so much again, girls. For more of the Gamut Report, follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Hribar, HRIBSTAR, or check out matthribar.weebly.com for more of the Gamut Report and other fun things.